What's going on, people, and welcome back to another golf ball review. This one I've been doing in the last few weeks, trying to get the prep and the research for it, and that is the Wilson Boost. Here I have one of the ones I used. I think I lost one of them, but I've still got some in a box as well. Got rid of the big box that they came in, but I've kept the sleeve boxes, so that's what the box looks like. It's alright, pretty simple, a little bit bland with the design, but it's okay. Wilson Boost. Extreme distance. So this is what the ball looks like. You've got the black for the Wilson writing, blue number, which is quite cool because it sort of stands out a little bit more. You do have an alignment tool on there if you want it. It's not the biggest, but I think it's acceptable enough. It's better than nothing. And I've seen thinner alignments on other balls. In terms of the feel, how it feels like just holding it, there is a little bit of grip to it. It is a bit more on the harder side. It's not got that sort of squishy feeling really, but you have to bear in mind that these are one of the budget balls that you're going to find out there, so it's hard to kind of get that squishy factor into it as well for the price. So they do feel quite hard when you're holding them and a bit on the cheap side, but they are one of the cheaper balls. As I said, you do get a little bit sense of grip on there, but pretty average feeling. When I used it for the putting, it did feel dead off the face, off the putter. Quite heavy and clicky, like it's very sort of loud when you hit it, and there is that sort of heaviness to it, and it feels like you have to whack it a bit more than you would other balls. It doesn't have that acceleration off the club, off the putter, like some of the other balls I've tested. So it depends on preference for putting with these. If you like a heavier ball and one that don't shoot off the face of the putter, and you have to give it a bit more power, then you'll prefer this ball. But if not, it wasn't the best for putting in that sense. I felt off the irons, it was slightly above average. Nothing great, but there were some good shots on the day for me with the irons where it did sort of fly off. It definitely accelerates off the irons quite well for what it is. So the overall for the feel score out of 10, I do think it feels cheap and there is a roughness to it. So I would give the feeling 3 out of 10. Design, as I said, the alignment tool is good. I like the fact that they got a mix of blue and black on there with the white. Makes it stand out more. Simple design, but I think that it works well enough. So for that reason, I'd give it a slightly above average with a 6 out of 10 for design. Durability, I think it was fabulous. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for durability. This is one of the ones I've used, and there is the odd scuff on it. You got a little bit of grass stain there. But overall, I've used this for several holes and through the round, and they hold up very well. This is out of bunkers and all sorts, and I haven't come across a ball yet, I don't think, that's been this good durability wise for a cheaper ball. So durability for this, 10 out of 10. I thought it really exceeded my expectations, and you could definitely get through a round or two with these, I feel, before you need to replace. Forgiveness, not great. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10. They're okay, as I said, but they're not the most forgiving. They're probably average or just below. Wedges were okay. Driver was okay. Irons were decent. And the putting was a bit lackluster for me and a bit underwhelming for what I was hoping. Because I've heard a lot of hype about these balls, and we'll get more into the other stuff in a minute, but so far not too impressed with it. Going into the driver then, okay, but nothing special. It was a little bit too much spin on it for me. Yeah, I don't think it was terrible, but it definitely didn't stand out for anything, so I'd give the driver an average 5 out of 10. 7-wood, I recently acquired a 7-wood the last round I played. It's the first time using it, and it absolutely flew off the 7-wood. For that reason, I thought it was beautiful. Pretty much, I'd say every say I had 10 shots with a 7-wood, I'd say at least 8 out of 10 of them were pure and hit properly, and it was a beautiful connection and flight with the ball. So 7-wood, 10 out of 10. Irons, as I said, pretty good feeling off them. It does accelerate and kind of spring off it a bit more, and you get a bit more of a straighter drive. It's not anything special though. It's not better than some other balls I've hit with irons. It's just above average for me, so I'd give it a 6 out of 10 for the irons. Wedges gets the job done, but there's very little spin, if any, in and around the greens, and it does run on, so it'll bounce, but then it really does accelerate and can easily go past the hole. So yeah, you have to be very careful with the wedges because it's easy to overhit this, even though it's a heavier ball, because it doesn't have that spin and that checkup. So wedges, 3 out of 10. Putting, as I said, it does have a loud sort of clicky sound when you hit it, and it does feel a bit dead and heavy when you hit it. Decent roll on it, like the roll is not bad at all, but it's not the softest or the crispest to hit. So it depends on preference for that, but it's not something that I like when you have to really hit the ball for putting, and it feels heavier and dead. So I'd give the putting a 6 out of 10. Price to value, I got these for $12.99 for a dozen, which you're not going to find much better for a dozen balls, any brand. I think the performance overall though for that price was just okay really, maybe slightly below average, because across the whole board I feel like it doesn't weigh up to what I've heard the hype around it. I think for the price, as I said, it's not terrible. It's definitely good enough for a beginner. But as you get better, you're definitely going to want a ball that has definitely more spin and check up on it for the wedges, and probably a bit more less spinning off the driver. There are worse balls for dearer prices out there. So price to value, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Conclusion then, I think this ball does have some really promising points, the likes of the durability, which I think is probably the best I've tested. And for a ball that's one of the cheapest I've tested to be probably the best durability I've had, is props to them for that. The 7 wood as well, like it was just absolutely rocketing off the 7 wood. There is definitely assets to the ball. I just feel like across the whole board it doesn't quite add up, and that price and it sort of plays into it a bit more then, because you start to notice where it's not great. Durability flawless, 7 wood flawless. Shame some of the other categories don't add up, because it does let it down in that sense. But this one does show glimpses of brilliant for its price, and I think it would be good enough for a beginner. So I give it a 4 out of 10. And then overall score, I had a 64 out of 110, and overall rating 5 out of 10. So average around the board. You could argue that it should be slightly below average as well. In terms of the golf ball rankings, ones I've tested on the channel so far, this was the 10th one to get tested, and I have it in at 8th place at the moment. So yeah, that sort of sums it up. 8th place out of 10, 10 being the worst. This one is in the bottom half of the table, but for the price, like it's fine for a beginner. As I said, it's just as you get a bit more advanced, sort of intermediate, high to mid handicapper, I do think you're going to want a slightly better ball, depending on what your preferences are as well. Have to consider that as well. So yeah, not the best ball, but it was worth a try. I don't think it lived up to the hype that I've seen other reviewers give for it, but it was okay, nothing better. Overall rating 5 out of 10. Overall score 64 out of 110. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Next up, I'm going to be doing the TaylorMade Distance, which I also got recently. I'm going to play another round with them yet. I played a little bit with one for a few, like half a round, but I'm going to give it a few more plays in the next round I play, hopefully soon. And then the video will be out after that round, because I want to give it more time to see and give it a fair rating. So the TaylorMade Distance will be the next ball up for review. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments if you tested it or use it yourself. At the end of the day, golf balls come down to preference, handicaps, what you prefer in a ball, weight, etc. Wilson Boost, that's how I would describe it. Yeah. See you next time.